Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, we are talking about the manipulative child. Yes, a child that can do a number on a parent, a grandparent, a teacher, a daycare worker, their siblings. They know how to play with people's minds in such a way so that you are not on to their games. The kind of games that, of course, they want to get their way. They want to win. And you don't see this sort of thing coming when you look at a child who's only been on this planet for 3 or 5 or 10 or 12 or 14 plus years. Not my child. My child wouldn't tell me a lie. My child wouldn't exaggerate a situation. My child wouldn't distract me from this issue while they're doing something else. I mean, no, my child's not sneaky. Oh my goodness. We live in a world where not only do we have some children who are sneaky, but we got some children who are born with an evil streak. What do I mean? I'm talking about some children who they're going to think evil before they think good. They're going to think about the negative before they think about the positive. They're going to think about how they're going to go about getting their way before they think about ever servicing you or helping you out. Yes, born into this world, selfish, and they just can't seem to shake it. Some individuals are young adults. And if anything, all of the manipulation, the lying, the sneakiness that they did when they were mere children, it's only gotten worse for some of them. And you're saying to yourself, I will not be played. But unfortunately, you've already been played many, many times. Sons and daughters have their way of doing some things, whether it is the white lie or the bold-faced lie that you're ready to put your hands on them. There are those shady practices that your lovely daughter, your handsome son, do every now and again. And this is why we are to take our children's names and put them right where they belong, in God's hands. I can only do but so much for my child. I can only preach and teach and warn and instruct. I can do it in a nice voice. I can do it jokingly. I can do it yelling. Some of us, we have gone off practically the deep end, ready to just rip the whole house up behind some craziness that the child got themselves mixed up in. I'm talking to some of you all because you're at that place right now where you're about to do something that is going to end up involving some cops, some police, right? Why? I don't want to see you go through that. I don't want to hear about it through the grapevine, right? So we are going to talk about these things that frustrate concerning the sneaky child. Okay? Maybe I should title this message, The Sneaky Child. Because at the end of the day, manipulation, nothing more than witchcraft in and of itself, is someone who's quite sneaky. Let's talk about some simple examples as we go into some more complex ones. Simple examples would include the child says, I didn't touch that. And you know full well they did. Whether you got the video camera, you got the witness, or you simply set your items in such a way that you know they were touching some things. They were in your things. I wasn't there. I didn't touch it. It was so-and-so who did it. You know you did. No, I didn't. I swear I didn't do it. Okay, so we're going to have to sit here and keep talking about this until you confess the truth. I didn't. I swear I wouldn't do that. I mean, come on. And then you find out that the item that is missing from your drawer or cabinet or wherever you placed it is in that child's room. under something, in something, covered up. Let me stay right there, covered up. The demonic will put a child up to covering up the truth. That's what all the denial is about. That's what all the I swear I never, I wouldn't have. And then you find out something different. It hurts to the core. Even if it was just a pen or just $1 or just a button or just anything, nail polish, lipstick, earrings. The point is that it was yours, right? And now that child is coming in and claiming it as theirs, or they're swearing up and down they never moved it and you need it that day because you're on your way to work, and they are once again denying. Okay? Another example. The child says that they came straight home that day and they didn't go anywhere else. You sure you weren't anywhere else? Nope, I wasn't. I went straight home. And then you hear through the grapevine that the child didn't go straight home. The child was over somebody's house. And you approach the child again. No, I wasn't over anybody's house. Okay, all right. Now they're going to admit, because they see that the evil is popping up on your face and they don't know what you're about to do. Okay, yeah, I was over a person's house. Okay, you could have said that from the beginning. Now you're in trouble because you told a lie. Oh, come on now. I did end up telling the truth. And so some parents will punish. Other parents will act as if it's all right. You told the truth. It's all good. And then the child is back to his or her devilish ways again. Sneaky children. And so we as parents, when we notice a pattern, if you will, or we notice way too many incidences are increasing, and all of these things that are showing up tend to have a sneaky ring to it, it is up to us to confront. It is up to us to discipline, correct, rebuke. It is up to us to teach this child why it is wrong. It is wrong to do the things that they're doing, telling the lies, denying, covering up, blaming someone else. A little more complex. First of all, let's just say that they know that you are the type that is very strict about getting homework done. And you are the type that doesn't have much of a tolerance for a child just walking down the stairs at any old time when you all are due to go somewhere. I told you to be down here at such and such time. Why are you showing up at 10 or 15 minutes later? Well, what had happened was, and they say all sorts of things to avoid getting in trouble about something else. Okay. Now they already are in trouble because they waltzed down the stairs at such and such time. But they don't want to be in trouble over what they were doing upstairs. You see, one particular child that I have, he knows that he's supposed to take care of his business, and business is all encompassing. Whatever I told him he's supposed to do, he's supposed to do it. And one particular morning, he decides that he wants to do his homework. But homework was supposed to be done when? The night before. So why is homework being done in the morning? Okay. So the reason why he was taking his sweet old time getting down the steps wasn't because he was doing his hair, wasn't because he was watching some show, wasn't because of anything that I assumed. It was because he was rushing to get his homework done. Okay? And so rather than say I was upstairs getting my homework done, he was already in trouble because he was taking his sweet old time getting down the stairs, but he was also in trouble because homework was supposed to have been done the night before. Okay. Now, we have some parents who they don't look at any of these things as big deals, some of these examples. And maybe it's not a big deal in your household. But if you're going to train up a child in the way that he or she should go, you are to teach them not just about the basics when it comes to being respectful and polite and say please and thank you and all of that. But you are also supposed to teach them good character. Character that is honest, truthful, right? They are to be disciplined in doing things the right way, as opposed to getting the pass over and over again and doing things the wrong way. I'm speaking to some people because you see, every time you tell a child, it's okay, it's all right, it's no big deal, the child will then be programmed into thinking that, I guess if I make these same mistakes in the real world, they're going to treat me the same way too. But that's not right. Okay. And we're seeing this with the millennials. There were too many parents that were just like, oh, we all make mistakes and it's no big deal and all of that. And so it becomes a big deal when they're a shift worker. Okay. And they want to waltz into work any old time they feel like it and hope that everybody is okay and all right with them waltzing into work 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, an hour later. The parent who doesn't prioritize what is important, such as homework. Okay, so in the real world, the child, who is now the adult, has this attitude about work comes before pleasure. No, my cell phone and everything that's on it, I can go and look at that whenever I feel like it during work. I mean, because it's okay, it's all right. It wasn't a big deal in my household. It is a big deal because you need to have your undivided attention on the customer, not looking in your cell phone. You see what I mean? All of these silly things that some parents look at as, oh, no big deal, end up being big deals later on. And the consequence is you're terminated. You're fired. Go back to mommy's house because now you can't afford to pay your rent and your utilities. And mommy will say it's okay and all right because we won't. Come on. Some of you all who are managers and supervisors and leaders, and you could just be one of the co-workers. And this young person is affecting the workplace with all of their nonchalance and I don't care. Now, when you call some of these people out on their foolishness, right? The child who is now the adult, this is where the manipulative practices that they used back in the day, they use this sort of thing now that they are out there in society, getting a paycheck like all of us. Where were you? Oh, well, I had to take care of this thing and that thing, and it's supposed to be all related to the job. And you see on the camera that they weren't taking care of all of what they said. Rather, they was out in the parking lot vaping, okay? Or they were over there talking to a friend and nothing is getting done, okay? But they're going to cover up. They're going to say that they didn't, or I don't know what you're talking about. See, they did it when they were little, when we confronted them on who took this, or where did you put that, or did you get this done? Well, and they had their excuses. They had to figure out ways to cover up the fact that they were really doing something else. We've got some of these individuals who, once again, support the sneaky behavior because they're sneaky. Okay? You may be that one living in a household with a bunch of sneaky relatives. Okay? You got a spouse who's sneaky. You got the grandparents who's sneaky. Or you got some of their influences who are sneaky. That's why you got to be careful who you allow around your children. Because children are going to pay more attention to what a person does than what they say. They will watch the sneaky grandparent say one thing and do something else. They will watch a sibling hide something that they know they're not supposed to bring into the household. And if they get away with these things, the child reasons, well, I guess it's okay because they didn't get caught. Okay? You may even be the parent that has done or continues to do these sorts of things. They saw you when you stole, took something that didn't belong to you. Or you may have even put the child up to doing something like that. I'm not talking to everybody. I'm talking to a few. Well, I changed my life and I don't do that sort of thing now, but the child still has memory of it. And so when you get upset about them being sneaky and you say, where did you learn this from? And you got to think about some of the examples that you put before him or her. Could have been the boyfriend who was sneaky. You were at work. You weren't there the whole time knowing what was going on. See, and we get some of these parents who they're very quick to defend, saying that, oh no, I was present. I know what my child does and says, and you can't tell me. Please, you are not there all the time with your child. My child would never. Your child did. You see. And so the sneaky behavior starts to show up and show out, especially around people who God has anointed and appointed like flashlights shining on shadows. Let me tell you about your child. And for the self-righteous, egoist, narcissistic type of parent, I can't deal with the feedback. I can't handle the fact that my child is being exposed like this. Because for the narcissist, for the egoists, okay, their children are reflections of themselves. So if he didn't want to deal, let's say the father didn't want to deal with the fact that he's a liar, he's manipulative, he's sneaky, he still don't get his act together when it comes to simply being a nice person, okay? Don't worry about it, because his child is going to reflect his character, and now he'll get to watch himself. See, sometimes God will allow this sort of thing to happen because people don't want to change or correct or deal with the issues concerning a sneaky, manipulative child. No, I don't want to deal with that. Okay, don't worry about it, because now that it's out there, it's being exposed, and you see it for what it really is, and now it's impacting your life. Now you want to do something about it, you see. As long as the child's lies and cover-ups and secrets is not affecting the parent who's in support of this sort of thing, it's okay and all right. But the day that the child is an embarrassment to the egoist parent, that is when they're ready to go upside that child's head. Well, it's a little too late when they got a pattern going. It's a little too late. Whooping on a child is only going to make them hard. We all learn that, even though we know what the scripture says. But what I'm saying is that the abuse, see, it becomes abuse at that point. I'm so angry that I'm just beating on that child. We're not talking about that. You see what I mean? If you're going to discipline a child, you're going to discipline them by showing them how to do something over and over and over again. And you don't have to spare the rod, because once again, the Bible tells you that when they're young, right? You don't want to spare the rod. You want to teach them early. But once they are older and they can actually grab the rod from you, I mean, what good is it then? It's not. This is why you get some parents that'll say, you got to go. You're going to have to live with your grandmother. You're going to have to live with your father. You're going to have to live with somebody because you got to go. You see. They're a young adult then. You can't take a stick and be beating on them. They can call the police, and then the next thing you know, you're arrested. You see. And then you get some people who they're over the top with all of their discipline to the point where they break the child emotionally, physically, and now the state's looking at, okay, what's wrong with that parent? You know, so all of these things, of course, you give over to the one true God. You pray. He's the one who came up with these scriptures. So he would be the one to give you the sound advice if you spend time long enough in the spirit with him on how to deal with your child, because every child is different. Yeah, they might have some things that are similar to their friends, right? Such as the vaping or hiding things or going over to the boys' house when they're supposed to be going home, or, you know, going into your stuff when they're not supposed to. But there are different personalities And with there being different personalities, there's different ways to correct a child, okay? To discipline a child. Lord Jesus. But these sneaky children will wreak havoc on your relationship. I've got to go there. Some of you all, you're so busy defending a sneaky child. Everybody else pretty much knows how your children or grandchildren tend to act. One way with you and some other way with other people. You're so busy defending them that you are also costing your relationships with those who you truly care about, because folks get tired of arguing with people about your sneaky grandchild or sneaky child. Taking something once again, telling lies once again, saying that what they did wasn't really what they did. Denying, blaming, shaming, whatever these children do. And so after a while, an adult says, I don't need to put up with this. I'm too old for this. You and your ooty booty enjoy your lives together. Because I will tell you that there's been times where, yes, even in my own household, there were those moments where I said, quite simply put, I can go. I don't have to stay here, right? If you guys can't seem to get this thing together, I could go and we could catch up with each other when you're grown. And they couldn't believe me. Everybody looking at me crooked-eyed, thinking I was crazy. But see, that's the thing. For some of you all, you are in a position where I got enough money. I got enough going on in my life. I don't have to put up with this person's mess. Okay? Matter of fact, for some of you all, that little child or the young adult or the teenager or whoever, that's not even your child anyway. So why am I going to sit up here and argue with somebody else's child when I know that there's a door and I can pack my bags, right? And go. I don't have to put up with this. You see, it's a privilege that a person has a stepmother or stepfather. It's a privilege that your mother or your father is sticking around dealing with your children or grandchildren. Okay? And sometimes we overlook those things. I mean, hey, there's a cost savings, right? For every time you drop it off your child with someone, okay, who you don't have to pay. Or all you have to do is do something that is real simple. Maybe service their car or, you know, something like that in exchange for them driving your child somewhere or whatever it might be. And then the child wants to be sneaky and disrespectful and lie and connive. And then the parent has the nerve to defend the foolishness. Okay. And we know what we can do, you see. So some of you all, you have these situations that you're dealing with concerning a child. And you're going to have to nip these things in the bud as soon as possible. And if that parent or grandparent or whoever is responsible for that child does not want to work with you, then that child is going to miss out. There are consequences to a child misbehaving repeatedly. And you will have to be the one to enforce those consequences. Okay? Sometimes it's the most unlikeliest people that end up speaking up and saying, this is an issue that is out of control. It could be the police officer, it could be the attorney, it could be the educator at the school who's witnessing these things. It could be the daycare worker. Make sure that people are documenting all of what they are noticing, so that if you do ever have to be in a courtroom and you have to share some information, that it's not just you who see this sort of thing, but it is other people. This could be a child that's in the neighborhood causing all sorts of craziness, okay? Wanting to paint on people's walls, tearing up things in the yard, stealing out of people's homes, beating up the kids. Document all of these things and take the information to the police station. And the police will get involved. And also there will be those social workers and child investigators, what have you, child abuse investigators that will show up at that parent's house. Okay. And many of these things you can do anonymously. Okay. So there is a way to deal with these issues. Okay. And God, He will give you the words to speak if you pray. He'll give you the motivation, the courage to do what's right, to get some things under control. Sometimes these kids are not our children. Okay. Sometimes it's like, oh, you weren't guilty in this situation? No, I wasn't. I was in my room. And sure enough, he was in his room. Or your daughter was over here minding her own business. So they weren't guilty in this situation. It was somebody else's child. Well, somebody else's child needs to be dealt with. And so you talk to the third parties and get an investigation going so that, once again, things can be dealt with. Okay? Before we know it, summertime will be here. Children that will that are too old for daycare, that will be at home for hours on end while parents are working, they're going to get idle. And that child that may not be your child may also be that problem in the neighborhood. So, something to think about. Blessings to you. Please do check the description box for anything that might be of interest. You've been listening to YouTube NM Enterprise 7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. And on this channel, we do welcome giving. And thank you so much.